Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache from NacheSnow.com, and welcome to the 50th episode. Can you believe it? I started NacheSnow.com about a year ago in 2 months, along with the podcast. I have had some amazing guests, and I've learned so much along the way, and I've met so many amazing people, and I launched a journal. It's just been a crazy year. And so I think it's really fitting that I have one of my best friends on since 7th grade. Her name is Campbell, and she is a program director for a radio station in Florida. And, Dawn and I have long conversations, at least once a month, about various topics. Sometimes they're business, sometimes they're personal things. And I have been begging her to come onto the podcast, but she's one of the ones where those folks that are really behind the scenes, and she's like, I don't know. But I tricked her into recording an episode. She happened to be in town for the book signing, and I refused to feed her until she allowed me to record an episode with her. So today's episode, we talk about business. We talk about how she's able to work a room, because I know a lot of you guys might be introverts. And even though she is maybe an extrovert, or according to her, like maybe somewhere in between, what she's really good at is figuring out how to network with people. So I just wanted her to provide some tips on that. And then also we really dig into how to market your business. So I know a lot of creative entrepreneurs that listen to this show, you have amazing products and you're just trying to figure out, like, how do you get it in front of the right people? What are those different touch points? Like, how do you get people to engage with you? Because if you're anything like me, you might just like making stuff or creating content, but you don't really want to do the marketing piece, right? You just really want to do the creative piece. So I really wanted her to just talk about what she's learned from not only being a program director, but before that, she was in the promotion department, about, little tips that we could use to help us engage with our customers. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy this episode. If you do, please comment on it so I can have her back on so she could see that people love her, because I really want her on to talk about a couple of more topics this year. But anyway, I am just going to jump right in today. While you're listening to the episode, just go ahead and go on to iTunes, rate me 5 stars. I'd appreciate it. It helps. If you're on YouTube, just hit that like button real quick. Just subscribe to the channel real quick. I'd really appreciate that. It helps people discover me. But anyway, let's get to it. So you guys, my best friend Dawn from Florida that I've known since, 7th grade, which is 19.
Let's not put the date out. No need to put the date out. A while ago,
long time ago. We've known each other for like 20 years.
A few years ago.
But she flew out for my get-together. She works for a radio station in Florida, and she is the master of...
Very strong word, not the truth. The master, no.
Of marketing and socializing. So, okay, this is what I want to pick your brain about, okay? Because Dawn is an extrovert like me, but you maximize your extroversion. And what I mean by the end of the night... without me introducing you to anybody, you knew the whole doggone room. So for people out there, because most people I feel like are introverts, how do you do that? Like, how do you get up, go from person to person, and then like have conversation, like little chit chat?
Well, I mean, I don't think I'm an extrovert in all ways. I mean, I think we all find ourselves in environments where we may be a little bit more introverted as opposed to being extroverted. But in a room like that, I was in a room with people, some of them that you had known for very many years, people that I had, I just wanted to know who they were to find out, oh my gosh, is this a person I had heard about or anything like that? So for myself, it was an intimate setting, but a wonderful crowd of people. I just wanted to get to know everyone that was there. And at the end of the day, maybe there was a connection that I could have made or, just, vibing with other people and meeting other, business people. I thought it was just fun.
But here's the trick though, that this is where people struggle. But how'd you do it? Like, I know it's hard because it's natural, right? You just like go to a person and start talking. Yeah. But how do you do that? How do you strategically figure out like, how long, who to go to next, how long to stay with the person, how to start up a conversation that's not awkward. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting because I guess you never really think, how do you strike up a conversation with someone? I mean, if I see some people I went and spoke to, they were by themselves. So it was easy to just walk up and say, oh, hi, what's your name? Like, it's just that simple. Hi, what's your name? And, for some of them, I would say, well, how do you know Nache? And then they would say, oh, this is how I met you, or, this is the connection. And then I would say, well, my name is Dawn. And they'd say, well, how do you know Nache? And then I'd say, well, we've known each other for a really long time. And we would just kind of build on the conversation from there. There were other people that were maybe in, groups of 2 or 3 people that were just seeming to have engaging conversation. And, I would just, maybe walk up and they were warm enough to kind of let me into their conversation. So, I wouldn't walk up to, 2 people or a group of people that seemed like they weren't open to, inviting someone in to be a part of it. So to me, if it looks like, hey, it's inviting and, I say, hey, how are you doing? I mean, it could be just as simple as that, or, what's your name, or, I like your top, or whatever it may be.
So here's the tricky question too. So like you go up to one person, like you see somebody alone. It's like, oh, perfect. Let me strike up a conversation. But you don't want to talk to them all night. You know how sometimes people get stuck because they don't know how to end?
Right. It happens.
So how do you end?
I think that depending upon what the conversation is, I mean, I think there's natural breaks in conversation, where you find yourself, well, maybe you've shared what you both do, or maybe, if it's a person that you want to keep in touch with, you may exchange social media, or you may not. Like, I talked to a bunch of people yesterday. I didn't exchange any social media with anyone, but I did meet a lot of people, but I feel like if I ever wanted to be connected to anyone, I could easily get the connection because you're connected to all of them, so I think just in the natural end of the conversation, it could be simple enough just by saying, well, it was really nice meeting you, good luck on, whatever you may be working on, or congratulations on all your success, and, good luck, and just kind of
go to the next person.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good advice. Good advice. See, social butterfly.
I would not call myself that. That's interesting.
Okay, so another question for you is, because you were giving me some tips on marketing, because I'm not a big marketing person. So let's say somebody has a small business like me, a product or service or whatever, right? What's some good marketing tips when you're trying to kind of gin up excitement or about an event or whatever?
I think for any business, big or small, the first thing you have to figure out is, well, who is the target? Who is the customer? Who are you trying to reach? Because, for every business, it's a little bit different. But I think based on whatever you are doing, for every business, success is something different. So if you're Geico, to be successful, it's something different than if you are a mom and pop bakery. It's just totally different kind of worlds like that on totally different scales. So I think you first have to figure out, well, who's the consumer? Who am I trying to reach? And then to figure out ways to target and to reach that specific group. If you're having an event that's going to be intimate, well, I always figure in anything, the framework is, well, what's in it for them?
Yeah.
If we walk into a store as a consumer, you want to know, well, what's the benefit to me? Like, am I getting a deal? Is this, materials I like? Is this a style? Like, no matter what the business is, whatever it is, you're kind of like,
what am I getting?
Correct. So once you begin to, put on display and make it about what the consumer is going to receive and why your product is the best for them, or your business or your service or whatever it is, to me, that's the framework. But I think many times, when we're all working on something and we put so much heart and soul into it, it becomes about what we're doing.
Right. Versus what the customer
needs, or what do they desire, or what do they want.
Right.
So,
why are they here? Or why would they come to an event? Like, why?
Correct. But I think in anything too, when you begin to, people love free stuff. I mean, no matter where you're at, everybody loves a little something free. So I think by being able to offer people things that, is beneficial to them, or something that is, depending upon what it is, something that they can walk away with, or something that continues to have them connect back to you, or something that they would just like to have. I always think little goodies and things are always good as well.
Well, you were giving me some tips too that I just want you to talk about, because you talked a little bit about like how I could have used a raffle, like even before the event, but just I think when maybe it wasn't even connected to the event at all, but for social media, you were saying maybe have like a raffle or something like that to bring up excitement. Do you remember that?
On your dreams, I mean, that's for everybody. But if you have a specific service and say, hey, this is my paid service, well, where are you most likely going to be able to get that business? Or is there different price points for the business? So, because it kind of has to be a la carte, right? Or
right. And I'm like, I think my really market is creative entrepreneurs, right? And so helping creative entrepreneurs like achieve their dreams, like start their businesses. So starting with life organization, right? Just getting yourself together, then figuring out what your business is, and then branding it and putting it online.
So I think for anything, when you have this group, so it's creative entrepreneurs. So if you have this group of people, and you say, okay, this is where I will be able to find the business. This is where, I'm not in a creative art space. So it's a very, very wonderful creative bunch. But if you say, okay, hey, this is this group of people. This is where I can find these people.
Right.
Now, as a creative person yourself, think of what you would want to see that would attract you to a person like of a service that you're trying to provide. Right. Now, everything can't be in your own filter because everyone is different, of course. But I would ask that group. I would find ways to, I think surveys are very, very, very helpful in ways to get feedback. I think that feedback is super important. I know we talked about that yesterday from your event. I said for everyone that was there, send up a follow-up survey so that you can get feedback of what everyone thought worked and areas and ways that it can improve, or maybe things that they would want to see more of. Yeah. Being able to get that dialogue, because I think many times when you're running or executing a business, you're so close to it. Like, it's hard to see, see the opportunities. So it was much easier for me to just kind of come on in here and eat wonderful cookies and cupcakes and be able to just, take a step back and say, oh, hey, I think it would be great for you to do a follow-up survey. I know we talked about, hey, in the midst of this event, it might have been cool to do a little baby workshop of some sort, way for if a person just engaged with you for the first time only, they walked away with something that was like, oh, wow. And while I was here at this great event, I maybe had this mini breakthrough, or I gained this that helped. I'm walking away with gaining XYZ.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Because then, by that, number one, since they're walking away with it, they'll be more likely to come back.
Correct.
And they'll tell their friends, too. Like,
correct.
Oh, my goodness, I got clarity on this, or I was inspired to do this.
Yep.
And then that goes with that word of mouth.
Or they will sit there and say, hey, I walked away with this at the event. I can't wait to get home and start on my Life Cleanse journal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we go to things, we have great experiences, and then we purchase products and we kind of come home and put them on our bookshelf. And,
right.
We get caught up in just life, you know what I mean? But, anything that I'm all about in any business, making it about the consumer. When you make it about them and it's all about them, then
find success.
Correct. Because through you making it about them, they will succeed, and in turn you will succeed. That doesn't mean not to promote yourself and why you're credible and what your business is about, but once you get them in, it's about helping the consumer, gain whatever they came to your business for. Yeah,
I know. I think sometimes that's a struggle, at least for me too, because if you're a content creator, you just like to create content, right? You're
right.
Like, people will come, right? But no, they won't. Right. You got to think about how you're going to market it, how you could reach people, how you touch those touch points.
Or even, is this content that I am creating topical and timely?
Right.
Does it make sense for the moment? This particular content, will this mean something to the audience right now?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I think for me, that's one thing I want to focus on this year. Because last year it was just generating the content, having enough when people go to my site that they're like, oh, okay, I kind of know what this is about. There's blog articles, there's podcast articles or podcasts. And then now it's like really just marketing that existing content and now this product and then building on that instead of being focused on generating content. Because I have enough content now.
Right.
Yeah.
The repurposing of that content and getting it. I mean, I think many times, you're like, so internet savvy and you're like, all of the blogs, all of the sites. Like, if I ever need to know something about design or where to go, like, you're the go-to person, hands down, case closed. But, I think if you have content that you've created, many times it's like, okay, well, now where do I put this?
Right.
Where do I try to, where do I share this? Okay, clearly we're going to put it on, the social media, platforms, but, are there other, people and, are there other groups of people or people doing what I'm doing that I can, kind of share this to, that it makes sense? So meaning, if you are creating something about, fabulous photos or, yesterday we were talking about, you were describing photos and you were saying how they were moody.
Oh, right. Yeah.
For me, I was like, moody.
What does that mean?
What does that even mean? But just hearing you say that, like, let's say there was something that was about a content post that was about photography. Well, if there are people that are creating that, then, maybe that it would be something that they would want to share to their networks because you're covering something that's in their wheelhouse and world.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because we all tend to congregate and gravitate towards, the things that we want to know and learn about.
Right.
So then at that point, if I wanted to know about moody photography and I got it from a third party, but it was your content, I would go, oh, this is great. Let me follow NacheSnow.com because she just shared some information that was valuable to me.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good advice. Good advice.
But I wonder too, that on the flip side, the question I then have is, will, if you were trying to, get to that person that was the third party that was maybe sharing that content, would they want to share your content? Or is it now people not wanting to do that?
Well, maybe. I think if somebody genuinely likes it and finds it valuable, they will.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's not like somebody is asking them to do it. Because I think people get funny now when you ask them to share content.
Got it. Okay.
But if they happen to discover it from somebody else they know and they like it, then I feel like they tend to share it, because it's They're like, oh yeah, hey everybody, a friend told me about X, Y, and Z. Check out, this blah 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 post on Moody Photography or whatever it is.
Right. You're gonna make me Google Moody Photography. It was the first time I had ever heard that. I was like, it's Moody.
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
And for the listeners out there, it's like photography that has like a darker undertones. Like usually they're a little bit more bluish. Sometimes they could be a little bit vibrant, but it's a darker photo. Yeah.
When you pointed it out and showed me the photos, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I get it now. But when you said Moody, I was like a mood ring. Like, I'm like, Moody Photography. Okay.
Yeah, because I always tell people, like, even for me, when I started this Instagram account, because I have like 4, but each one has like a different feel. Like the creative route, if you go in there, it's a lot of wood, so it's warmer, right? So I would call that like warm photography, right?
Got it.
This one, I'm not totally moody, but it is like darker, but with pops of bright color here and there. And then you have really like what I call like happy photography, where everything is white background and really bright. You go in there and it's like bubble gum and balloons and
I live in Florida, so I get it. It's bright and sunny. Exactly. I get it. I get it. Right.
Yeah. So, as we like wind down here, do you mind just sharing who you are? Because people are like, oh, this girl sounds real nice, but who in the world is she?
That's like a weird question when someone says, well, who are you? Oh, well, my mom and dad. No. So my name is Dawn Campbell, and I live in Orlando, and I work in radio. I've worked in radio for a long time. Yeah. I'm a program director for a radio station, and we've just known each other for a really long time. I've outside of working in programming, I worked in the promotions department for a radio station or a couple radio stations for some years before I transitioned into the programming department. So for myself, I guess the majority of my career I've dealt with, questions like how do we help clients receive return on investment? Right. How do we how do we make listeners show up to events? Yeah. How do we attract people to listen to our brand? Yeah. So it's really been a career based in listeners, and how do you get people to engage you? Or, these days, radio, it is a little bit different. It was a point in time where, it was just, radio was the social media of its time. Yeah. If you wanted to know something, you turn on the radio and like, that's what it is. On?
That's where you get your news. That's where
everything came from the radio. But now, we're totally connected people. So, the radio has a ton of competition now. There's, streaming services and social media. There's just a lot going on. We're just constantly connected all the time. So now, radio stations, we have our on-air products, we have our streams, we have our apps, we have our own social media platform. So all of this is coming together. We have our face-to-face events. There's just so many different touch points to be able to engage. So now it's kind of like, okay, how do you kind of bring this all together, yet, of course, drive people back to listening to the radio?
Yeah. And, it's interesting. You said a couple of things that maybe we could wrap up on. And you guys, I love Dawn. I had to trick her into this interview. She's at my house, and I told her I would not take her out to breakfast until I recorded this. So, this has been like 2 years in the making, I feel. Feels like it, even though I've only had this podcast for a year.
Blackmail. This is horrible.
And I will have her back on, because one topic that I feel like it would be good to talk about with you, but it just doesn't relate to what we're talking about here, is kind of manifestation. Because we've had conversations about that, and about like your circle and surrounding yourself with, certain people. But we'll save that for another time. But to wrap up here, you talked about different touch points. So maybe we could end with you giving like some of the touch points you guys use in radio that we could use in our businesses. Because like you mentioned, in-person events, like what are some of those things that maybe we can think about, even though we're not a radio station?
I get it. I think as you think about your business and you figure, well, at every place, how can I reach a consumer?
Right.
Whoever that is, that's you figure your main social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that, but it can expand based upon, Pinterest, if you're crafty, Etsy, all of these places that creatives are. So figure wherever you have a profile or a footprint, how does that look to a consumer? If someone, Googles Nache Snow, what comes up? Your own personal website. Your face-to-face is wonderful. I think that there's nothing greater than when you're at an event and you are face-to-face with a consumer or a person that you are talking to them about what it is that you offer. That face-to-face, organic, I'm touching you, you're meeting me, and I'm meeting you is really powerful. Yeah. Because as you meet a person, you go, oh, you know what? I really like that person, or I really dislike that person.
Like they're not who I thought they were.
Correct. So it's like, what is your 2-minute elevator, not even 2 minutes these days. What's your 1 minute, elevator pitch for what it is that you do? Yeah. We talked a little bit about that yesterday for social media. Like in a sentence or two, how do you wrap up what it is that you have to offer and why it's beneficial to somebody?
Right.
But, what is it that you leave people with? Is it, a flyer, a business card, the actual physical versus what's in the digital space about yourself. All of those things matter, but
touch,
they're different touch points. So, however a person can engage you or engage your brand or your business, how does that look for them? What information are you providing to them? And are you actually providing them information to further engage with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a call to action.
Right.
Sign up for my newsletter.
To get X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Follow me. Tell them why continuing to engage with you would be great.
Right. And make sure you're telling them to engage with you.
yeah, absolutely. And even, when you have an event, if you're standing there and you have your quick pitches to what it is that you do and what you offer, I would have, 3 bullets, depending upon what your business is, 3 to 5 at the most, but really 3 bullets because we can't really retain a lot of things at one time. But 3 things that just says, this, and this. Yeah. This is what I provide. Here's how you can, here's ways to continue to engage with me because I'm going to communicate with you in this manner because I have all of this wonderful things for you. And, here's why.
Right.
Just 3 little things that are like, hey.
Why should I even care?
Right.
Yeah,
because think about it, as we walk along our lives and we live lives, we just have so much information coming to us at all times. So it's like when you have an opportunity to touch a person, tell them very quickly why you would want to continue to do this.
No, that's great advice. And, one thing I want to emphasize too that you said is best you can try to collect them email addresses.
Absolutely. Collect the email addresses so you can continue to communicate, to be able to communicate with everyone once they're not in front of you.
Yeah. This has been great, Dawn.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you. I'll feed you now, girl.
I'm finally going to be able to have the fabulous Dutch baby. They are so good. They're fabulous.
Yes.
Thank you.
We just thought of one more thing, you guys, about sharing content with others.
Right. To help build your credibility and to make you an expert on a particular thing. Share content from others that pertains to whatever it is that you're talking about.
Yeah. An example of that, you guys, is so I will find articles about businesses, women in business, creative entrepreneurs, and then even though I didn't write it, I will share it on all my social medias because I just want people to know, ooh, I found this article that relates to you so they know, because you were saying, I think earlier, that you're an authority because you're sifting through all the related content, right?
Right, because if I want to learn about women entrepreneurs, maybe I'll have to sift through a ton of stuff to get the information that I want. But if you're kind of doing that work for me, I'm going to come back to you more and more because I know you're providing the content that I want to know about.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff.
So share other good, valuable content that pertains to whatever topic, you're talking about within your business or post or whatever it may be.
Because it makes you an authority in your space, and then you become like that thought leader.
Perfect way to put it, yes.
But thank you, Dawn. She'll be back, y'all. How fantastic is she? Okay, I hope you guys found this to be really, really useful like I did. Selfishly, I wanted her to talk about this just so I could get better with my business and marketing it, because I'm like terrible because I love generating content, but the marketing piece sometimes can be a little struggle because I just want to make stuff. So if you're in my camp, definitely take what she said to heart and figure out how you can have those multiple touch points. Come up with that 1-minute elevator speech when someone asks you about your business. Have those little 3 things that you can immediately say about your business, what you provide, why they should continue to engage with you, and just why should they care in general. So thank you again, Dawn, for coming on. I look forward to having you in the future. And for those of you guys out there, remember you can use the code FREESHIP, FREESHIP, to purchase the Life Cleanse Journal. And that's over at nachesnow.com/journal. Also, remember to rate me, please. Rate me 5 stars on iTunes. If you're on Stitcher, please rate me there. And if you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up. And on all platforms, please subscribe to me, because it really, really helps people discover me. And thank you for your time. And I hope you guys are having a beautiful morning, noon, or night. Until next week, take care.